Hey guys, what's up? GreenMachineSam back with another video, and today we have a Madden 24 roster update guide. Now, of course, with a lot of stuff happening in free agency, before free agency, I don't think the new season actually kicks off for a couple of days, which I'm still confused on how some players have signed technically that aren't signing to future reserve contracts. I don't really understand some of the loopholes of NFL free agency and stuff like that, but we do have a bunch of released players and stuff like that to go over. So first and foremost, you guys are going to want to be on PS5. This is a PS5 exclusive roster. Sorry to anybody playing on PC or on Xbox. Trust me, I get it. It's tough to find good quality rosters out there. I'm well aware. But let's get into things to start off. So first and foremost, you guys are going to head over to the NFL Shield, the little Creation Center tab. Head to Share and Manage Files, and then head to Download Community Files. Now, of course, there's two pretty easy ways to find my roster. If you're searching for it on the day of, the day of 9th, I am recording this at like fucking, 11 o'clock at night. So if you see this, of course, you can search by date and my rosters will come up pretty quickly. I'm going to upload another roster here tomorrow, the 10th, just because I will have more to show you guys there as well. Not more. I'm going to continue to get some of the basic stuff that I'm getting done. Or you guys can search by online ID. This will be the easier way because it will bring up my rosters right away. You don't have to do any type of searching, as in like scrolling through other people's rosters and stuff. So my username is GreenMachineSam. It won't change between 2K or between Madden. It won't ever change. The GreenMachineSam, at least on PlayStation, as long as I keep doing PlayStation. And these are both my rosters. They are the exact same. There are no differences. Yes, the descriptions are a little bit different, but that's really it. Downloads are different, but that's really it. Download it. You guys are going to either have to save it as a new file or overwrite the old file. If you've already had my roster downloaded, then you can overwrite it if you don't want to keep the old one. If you want to keep the old one, save it as a new file, title it something different. Then what you're going to want to do is come over to File Name and go to Load and Delete and then load it. I load it twice just to make sure. You have to load it if you are playing Play Now, or if you're hopping into a new franchise, or if you're hopping into the Edit Roster section. Okay, so if you go to Quick Play, you cannot play online, though, with the roster. That is unfortunate. You cannot play with it online. You can only Play Now. You can only play the custom Play Now options. And franchise, somebody asked, can I create an online franchise and start from today? No, you cannot. You have to use Active Roster. If you're playing offline even, after you download the roster, let's say you don't have a whole ton of Wi-Fi, data that you can use, and you're playing offline, you have to use Active Roster. So first, whatever you do, if you download the roster today, and let's say you want to make a franchise tomorrow, you have to go in, you have to download the roster, and then if, let's say you download it today, and then you want to play a franchise tomorrow, or play a Play Now game tomorrow, you have to then load the roster before you hop into those things. I'm going to try to make that as clear as possible. Every single time you want to go play a game or start a new franchise or look at the roster, you have to load it. Because then you won't have any mistakes going on. Trust me, sometimes I even forget to load it. So a couple things that did happen. I did go ahead and try to get some of the guys that did get re-signed. Jalen Johnson, Justin Matabuke, I think Brandon Sheriff, Ezra Cleveland, the safety on the Jags. There was also... I know Dalton Schultz and Hunter Henry got re-signed. So multiple players got re-signed. I dropped them. I signed them to 3-year deals. Of course, 75 overall and above players get signed to 3-year deals, and then overall will just determine money within that range, of course. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it as nicely as I can put it. I can only work with what EA allows me to do, right? I can't change contract years. I can't change contract money. I can't change people's age or experience. I can't auto-progress some of that stuff like I can do in 2K. So there's certain limitations on the roster that I can do. Of course, this is on PS5, so there's only a certain amount of things I can do. Trust me, if I could do the things, I would do them. But EA doesn't allow me to. There's certain things that have to go on. Another thing I am slowly but surely doing is going through each team, releasing as many players as humanly possible in terms of players that are coming off contract going into the next year. Darnell Mooney is somebody that needs to be released. I had to pick up a couple of their future reserve guys, so that's why Darnell Mooney was not released. So some players are still on the team. Dan Feeney, another guy that's supposed to be off the team, but I don't have a extra player for him right now. I can probably move Patrick Scales to left guard and have him play backup left guard for the team going forward. But there are some people that are on the roster that aren't supposed to be. Yannick Ngakoue, I think, is another guy that needs to be released. So, like I said, there are some guys that I cannot release because of positional requirements. That is something else that EA does that I am not allowed to fuck with. So some players are going to be still on their teams. Taylor Rapp, another guy that got a 3-year extension. So there's multiple things going on. Mitchell Trubisky, I can't get his money correct, but I can get his years. So, there's a give and take of what I can get done and stuff like that. This is a very good roster, and trust me, there's a lot of free agents right now. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Justin Simmons, Kevin Byard, White, David Hunter, Wagner, Poyer, Hyde, Wilkins, McKinney, Swift, Williams, Van Ginkel, Adams, Cousins, Everett, Diggs, Williams, Eckler, Jackson, Kendrick, Morse, Baker, Peterson, Peters, White, all these different guys that are getting released. Now, yes, I did go ahead and release guys that are going to be designated June 1st cuts and stuff like that, as well as whenever the new season starts. Those guys that are also getting released when the new NFL season kicks in, those guys are also released. Now, of course, like I said, I'm trying my best, okay? There's going to be certain players that slip past the cracks. There's going to be certain players that I don't end up getting, and I'm not done with every single team. I have probably, if I had to take a guess because I wasn't going in order, closer to 16 teams than I am 32. That's just what it is. The roster's still a work in progress. It's a lot to be done, okay? Because I got to go in. I got to release players. I got to sign their future reserve contracts. I got to sign anybody that they've already signed. Anybody that they restructured. All these different options I have to go through and get done. And then, for certain players, I'm having to switch their positions to drop them to a lower overall so I can sign them to a 1-year deal. Move them to the team, sign them to the team. Move them back, get a decent jersey number back on them. All that fun stuff. So yes, there are going to be some players where if you look at the roster in real life, if you go to, Las Vegas Raiders roster.com or whatever the fuck you would have to do to bring it up. Some jersey numbers are not going to be correct. I'm not too worried about the future reserve contract guys because a lot of those guys either A, aren't going to make the team, B, are camp bodies, or C, I would rather have the rookies when they come in have a good jersey number and then be able to change those rookies as they slowly pick out their jersey numbers as well. There's still a lot of work to be done. Another team that's done is the Packers. I know I have the Patriots done. I know I have the Raiders done. I know I have the Seahawks done. I think I have Steelers done for the most part. And then a couple other teams here and there. I know the Bears, the Bengals, the Bills, the Broncos, the Browns, the Bucks, the Dolphins, the Eagles, the Falcons, the Giants, the Jags, the Jets, the Lions, the Packers. A lot of these teams are done. So there's a lot of work to still be done. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of work. I'm still trying to get through most of it. And then, of course, some of the players that I'm not releasing are also guys that I think are going to re-sign with their teams. Guys that I think could easily make it back onto the roster because whether they played a pivotal point in the team's, win percentage or, they just played a role inside that system. I think I'm going to try to leave some of those guys on, like A.J. Dillon. I imagine he would probably be heading back to Green Bay. I don't know. Green Bay might go ahead and just draft another running back. So there's a lot of different stuff still happening, okay? So I'm trying to get through some of the stuff. Okay, the Lions aren't completely done. I think I got their defense done. Maybe I didn't get their offense done. But there's still a lot of work to do. But I'm just trying to show you guys what I'm currently working on for the free agency period that's supposed to be coming up soon. Because I know a lot of people did say that they would rather have just the free agents released. The guys that are expected to go to new teams at least. So those guys are getting moved around currently as well. And like I said, more roster updates will be happening the more stuff happens, right? I can only go off of what I'm seeing, right? I'm using Twitter. I'm, going to Ian Rappaport. I'm going to Adam Schefter. I'm going to multiple different websites. I'm going to Sports Track. I'm going to NFL Trade Rumors. I'm going to ESPN. I'm going to CBS Sports. I'm going to the, NFL Network sites. I'm going to all these different places to try to figure out who's getting released, who's getting signed, who's on this team, who's on that team. And then, of course, some of the practice players and practice squad players and some of the future reserve guys just aren't in Madden. So I can't particularly make those guys. Well, I can't particularly add those guys to the teams. And I don't want to waste a creator player spot on a guy that may not make the team, whereas a rookie that's coming in that's getting drafted is probably going to have a higher likelihood of making the team or at least being a practice squad player going forward. So I'm going to try to keep a lot of the creative player spots open and available to the guys that I'm going to be creating for the draft and stuff like that. Hopefully you guys understand a lot of what I've been discussing. Hopefully, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and leave them down below in the comment section. I will be more than happy to address them. And then, like I said, some players can't be released because of positional requirements. Some players can't be released. I know Ryan Jensen, who is rumored to not be playing football anymore because of his injury that he's had. He's at kicker, so is Corey Lindsey, so is Jason Kelsey. 3 of the only retirements that I personally know of that are still in the game. Corey Lindsey's likely not to be playing football anymore. Jason Kelsey has confirmed retirement, and Ryan Jensen has basically, I think if I remember correctly, he had a bad enough injury a year or 2 years ago at this point, that a lot of people say he probably won't be playing football again. If he does play football, I'll easily move him back. And then, of course, the other thing is, if I do decide to release a player because they're just too good or I think they are going to be going to a different team, I did go ahead and sign a couple people. The main roster that you will look at is the Dolphins. I did go ahead and sign a couple people. Rotney, Scott, these guys they actually did bring in. So I did go ahead and sign a couple people to get guys off their roster. I wanted Christian Wilkins off the Dolphins roster since he didn't get franchise tagged. So we did go ahead and do that and stuff like that. So like if I have to add a 50 overall to a team to get a player off the roster that I would like to have off that team at the moment, I'm going to do that, right? I'm going to make that happen. If you guys have any suggestions for the roster, whether it's, players not being in the right spots, whatever, something you would like to see done in the roster, I would be more than willing to look over your ideas. Now, of course, something I do want to bring up, since this is brought up a little bit, every team that I do, I have to go by their scheme, right? And I can't change schemes. So let's say, I don't know, who's a team that got a new, let's say the Titans, right? I don't know if they're going to be running a 3-4 going into next year. But because their scheme is listed as a 3-4 inside of Madden, and I can't change that, and if you don't play as the Titans in your franchise, and I don't want to screw that up, they're going to be staying as a 3-4. So if they go out and sign a guy that's listed as a right end, but is really an edge rusher, let's say they go out and sign, I don't know, Yannick Ngakoue for some reason, right? They go out and sign Yannick Ngakoue. He's listed as a right end. I'll move him up to outside backer so he'll play that edge rusher role instead of being a 3-4 defensive tackle that weighs 246 pounds, right? So I can't change schemes. I can't change a lot of stuff. Some offensive linemen are going to be in the wrong positions just because I'm trying to get their teams to fit. I'm trying to maybe add the best O-line as possible to that team, right? There's no one big example is the Packers. For some reason, Madden has all their good tackles listed as left tackles. They had David Bakhtiari, Rasheed Walker, and they had Zach Tom, all listed as left tackles. And then they had Yash Najima and Luke Tenuta listed as right tackles, who are 71 and 61 respectively, versus you have a 90, a 76, and an 80, right? So I'm going to move players around as I see fit as well. It's going to match schemes. It's going to match as well as what they need. Like I said, some players like John Runyon, who I expect to be back in Green Bay going into next year, I'm not going to release him. There's no point. If he does sign a 2-year deal or even a 3-year deal, I'll go ahead and release him and sign him to that new deal as best as I possibly can, of course, because EA does not allow me to fix certain things. Then yes, that's what will happen. I will go ahead and release him, sign him to a new deal, get him back on the team, all that fun stuff. But a guy like John Runyon, who I think is going to be back with Green Bay next year, I'm going to leave him on the team. Just makes the most sense for me going forward. I hope you guys understand a lot of what I'm talking about. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, anything for the roster, I'm more than willing to look at it or at least go, hey, I'll explain why I am doing something a certain way or why I'm not going to be doing something a certain way. There's definitely room for improvement on this roster. There's definitely a lot of teams that I still got to get to. It's a work in progress. Trust me, I'm going to get through it, but it's going to take a little bit of time, right? I don't want to sit here and spend 7 hours of my life getting a roster done just because, right? I might split it up into 2-3 days, take 2 hours every night, get it done, get part of the roster done, and then move on. And as, of course, the days go on, the roster is going to be updated. With free agency around the corner and all that fun stuff, just because I'm not putting out a roster video doesn't mean I'm not going to be working on it independently. And like I've said before, especially on the 2K ones, just because I don't put out a video doesn't mean the roster is not getting updated. It just means I don't think there's anything worthwhile. One thing that probably is going to be bugged out a little bit is the fact that the depth charts are all going to be fucked up. All you have to do to get them reset is just go into each team and push triangle, and it will auto reset to basically the best fill. It will just fill each position with the best player for the most part, which will fuck up some depth charts. Go ahead and fix those for yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. I hope you guys enjoyed my roster. I'm hoping to be back with more videos like this shortly. I appreciate the support that you guys have been showing on the channel recently. Like I said, this is not a finished product. The finished product, all in all, probably doesn't come out until mid-May. I'm going to be honest. That's when I'll for sure have the draft done, I'll have free agents done, I'll have future signings done, well, future reserve contracts done. I'm not saying some of this stuff won't be done right away. I'm just saying around May is when the full product of my roster is unveiled and is like, oh, here you go. Here's the roster in all its glory. I'm not saying you can't download. I'm not saying you can't go play with it. I'm just saying, as of right now, no free agents have signed for me, besides like Jonnu Smith and a couple others that haven't signed to reserve contracts. There is still work to be done, okay? I'm going to try to make that as clear as possible. There's still work to be done on this roster. It's still a work in progress. It's going well. It's going to get done, but it will take some time. Like I said, I hope you guys understand, and I hope you guys do like the roster. But with that being said, guys, I'm out. Peace.